God, you're hot.
He does the same dad jokes and thinks like they're funny, but they're really not. Not even a little bit.
Oh, everybody, how you doing? I was just putting on my newspaper hat.
Still entirely cringe and unbelievable.
We're going to move this way right here. There's my spot. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula. I need more room on my top of my head.
No, you don't.
Maybe if I take the hat off. It's still pretty tight. It's still pretty close. Shut up, Oz. Fam, roll those eyes at me one more time. I dare you. Roll them at me one more time.
You have these jokes that, I'm so glad that you're not a comedian because it is not your forte. And
that is so not true. I could be a good comedian. I just do stupid jokes to annoy you because I enjoy annoying you. They're dad jokes.
They're terrible jokes. They're bad. They're
That's why I do them, because they annoy you.
They don't just annoy me. They annoy a lot of
They annoy Steve. They annoy the people I want to annoy.
Okay.
And there's a lot of great, there's a lot of good, people who enjoy, me and upsetting you and making your eyes roll, making you pissed off.
If you're ever on some sort of network, and you get invited on some sort of network, remember the term hot mic because, you want to be able to come back on that network. That's all.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's a one and done. By the way, fam, on the stream that I messed up, that Oz blamed me for, not himself, Trey Wright sent a $2 Super Ray contribution that says, I already have an idea if Cenks does a stupid pick like Nance. So he already understands what's going on over there. And Kristen Nye also left a Super Ray contribution. Guess what, fam? It is always appreciated on the couch.
So if you guys weren't privy to the tiny discussion we had this morning, because Steve was so busy talking over everybody that I didn't particularly get a chance to go in there. And I was still sipping on my coffee, so I wasn't really settled in, I've been running around all morning and now it's late here. It's almost 4:00. Okay. So I need my second round, but it was basically commies versus anarchists or libertarians. The ultimate libertarians is what I would call them, but whatever. Next time I'm going to bring Hasta Siempre and play it in the background. And I think Steve would really enjoy Bill Week. He would enjoy Nicaragua and he would see what goes on there. I think he just needs to get out of this global North mentality,
Steve
Let's make it happen, Steve. Let me help you.
Mentality. And global North solutions aren't the same for solutions all around the world.
That's the thing. They're not. The solutions we find here, this is what I agree with Caleb, is going to look very different than what it's, even if you're advocating for a socialist or whatever, it's going to look entirely different than China or anywhere else. Anyway, so fam, we added this to the folder. We have to start with this. We never cover this sort of thing. But I laughed out loud. I laughed out loud. Bam. Yes. I need you to read Jimmy because you're closer to his voice than I am.
Now my voice is okay when it's close to Jimmy Dore. 2 seconds ago, you were telling me, don't make jokes, don't say anything.
I'm not asking you to be Jimmy Dore. I'm asking you to read a tweet. Jesus Christ.
The Progressive Caucus doesn't want you in Congress. But I appreciate you have to pretend Democrats are somehow on the side of the people instead of what they really are. A pro-war, pro-Wall Street, anti-worker party that you still want progressives to support. You're unable to view this tweet because the account you owner limits who can view their tweets. Learn more. So he got blocked?
Yeah.
On his day off.
Jimmy Dore Listen, when you're Jimmy Dore, you never have a day off. When you're us, you never have a day off. We're always on. So
should I call him right now? Should we call him?
You want to call Jimmy Dore?
I'll call him right now and say, I'm going to at least text him. I'm going to say, we're talking about you right now. You done got blocked by Nina Turner on your day off.
Yeah. Let him know. Okay, so here's while you do that, here's my my quick thing.
Please.
If you're running for office, right, and you're a progressive, why the hell are you going around blocking? And I don't even know if this is her, if she runs her Twitter account, because you often have somebody else run your Twitter account. But as far as I knew, she ran her Twitter account. So I don't know. This is weird. Why the hell she would block him? Even if he was critical of her, you want to show that you can defend yourself against an attack or whatever is perceived as an attack. And this is a woman who, I liked for a long time. Like, let's go back a few years ago, not that long ago. And, a lot of my friends in the Bernie movement in Los Angeles loved her, and they still even support her. What is it? The Bernie van turned into the Nina van. This is like people we know, right? And she was like very energetic and she said all these great things. But then when it came down to holding the squad accountable in the most milquetoast way that I can possibly say that, it didn't happen. It didn't happen one bit. Refused to go on independent media that wasn't safe, started having the same foreign policy, quoting Obama, that sort of thing, just the same type of rhetoric. And then it obviously is going in the direction of I'm just going to imitate what they do. But the worst part is, as he pointed out, these people of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, largely made up of many, including many from California, the Ro Khannas and all of that, didn't even care to protect her or stand up for her at all when it came to Chantel Brown, right? When it came to their supporting heavily Israeli-backed. Nina Turner doesn't support BDS either, but Chantel Brown is on another level. And so it's sad that you're still trying to placate to people who don't give a shit about you. And then you go blocking a comedian because he said something that hurt, because the truth hurts.
Well, I sent him a text saying, how the hell are you going to get blocked by Nina Turner on your day off? He says, number one, it's work day, which he didn't get the joke. Number two, which you're right, fam, I'm not a comedian. So this, and number two, breaking news, Jimmy has also been blocked by Anand, that guy, Anand Giridharadas, what his name is? I can never say his name. Giridharadas, the one who's on like MSNBC and all the other ones, the one who says that there was a curmudgeon take about Bernie Sanders. He's got like the slick hair. He's always on all those. Yeah. He blocked Jimmy Dore too as well. So Jimmy's 2 for 2 today. But he didn't get my joke. So fam,
Yeah. Just bow out now, fam. It's okay.
Right. If a comedian doesn't even get my joke, how the hell are you going to get fired, fam, on your day off?
Fam.
By the way, I want to say something really quick too as well. She didn't even just passively okay what the squad did. She gave credence to what they were doing. She was even supporting what they were doing, saying that they had to take allies and, and they have a plan and they can't do these things. She pretty much was okay with the tactics of the squad, which is a bunch of BS, no policy, bullshit policy that will never get passed, a bunch of virtue signaling, not paying attention to the important things. She pretty much was okay with it. And she wants to join to do the same thing as they're doing. She didn't contest her election, fam. I didn't even know who Chantel Brown was until like a week before the election. Somebody had to tell me it's a female pasta. I'm like, oh shit, my bad. She's just a run-of-the-mill Democrat that nobody knows about. But once again, you don't contest your election. There were people already saying, look, the math does not look right with this election. And they wanted to blame it on the pro-Israeli lobby to make it look like she's anti-Zionist as can be, which she's really friggin', I'm sorry. No. No, Nina Turner is run-of-the-mill, terrible on foreign policy too as well. The whole Putin situations, Putin this, Putin that. Like, no, please, Nina.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care about foreign policy. They don't care. And to me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like, because it's everything. It's everything that is affecting every domestic policy. And if they can exert also international jurisdiction over the press because they want to hide their imperialist foreign policy, then what you have is a fascist authoritarian state in existence, and you don't have like real democracy. So what the hell are you running for? You don't have fair elections. You don't have any of this. And these people are stuck in 2016. They want to bring Bernie back. They want to bring the squad. It's very sad, but it's very frustrating to see because this is all these people are going to be talking about in the midterms. And it's mostly things that we're going to be ignoring. I'm not interviewing candidates for any office. I don't care how progressive you think they are. I don't care if one of my friends is running. Like,
did you see that email, by the way?
Yeah.
I'm like, once again, somebody's like, I might
address that. I will address that person, but we're not going to interview candidates for office.
No, not at all. But the moment I ask her, I'm like, are you sure? Once again, it's like, who are you hiring that doesn't even do the homework? Remember the girl who came on my show and our show, and we were like, I don't think the person who booked your show watches our show because she's really putting you in a very bad position having to answer these questions that you clearly are parroting a democratic establishment message. Yeah.
So anyway, so, on this show, we cover things we've been covering Russia, Ukraine a lot. Right. And usually we don't feature this dude, but he's funny. He's actually funny. Boss, I'm sorry, but Cenk is funny without trying to be funny and not in a good way. Okay. Because I had to put this up because remember Malcolm Nance, that guy that when he used to work for, he's a hack. He used to
I'm done talking, fam.
Military. He used to work for the State
I'm done talking.
Department. And he put on his little uniform and went in front of MSNBC and he did his whole thing where he's like, look, the missiles. Oh, he was like saying, he was ready to fight, join my legion and all that bullshit. Cenk Uygur wants to one up this guy. And we're going to watch a video. But I wanted to compare what Cenk said and what Cenk did with what a celebrity did, a singer, because I think it's crazy that the celebrity has more sense in her head than somebody who gets paid to actually do news for a living. So Cenk said, what does it mean to be a free speech absolutist, as Elon Musk claims? For example, does that mean rape threats will be allowed on Twitter? Does it mean doxing will be allowed? How about the nightmare scenario where both are allowed? Do we really want to live in that world? So he started off by tweeting this bullshit, right? We talked about Elon Musk ad nauseum yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we agree that there are criticisms of Elon. This isn't one of them. This type of rhetoric is just the rhetoric the shit libs use. And then, of course, the people that love Elon are like, see, these morons are morons and blah, blah, blah. So then it just goes on back and forth and it's absolutely pointless. By the way, doxing is something Democrats and liberals love to do. Threatening people and their children and doing all that and is something Democrats and liberals also love to do. Something the little progressives that decide to literally dox everybody who wasn't vaccinated and get them fired love to do. We already live in that world. This is again, it's team sports, ignoring what the side he's on does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's paid to do a job, fam. And now you can see that check. Listen, I heard that Katzenberger check might be running out of gas. He might need another check. So it looks like he's revving up for one and showing, hey, and I think a lot of people who don't pay attention to media as a whole, whatnot, they kind of look at numbers or whatever, whatnot. They still think that these guys have a lot of pull within the progressive movement. They don't. They have a lot of pull within the neo-progressive movement, which are just the shit libs of tomorrow. So really, they're not even necessary, these guys, anymore. There's no reason to watch TYT or go with them other than to laugh at this shit over here right now, what we're about to see from Chunk.
Yeah, and as Lucy said from Blue Moon Red Wine, the rats are coming for the boat on the Titanic because they have to. They have to get on this boat. Yeah. because they know that the midterms are coming up. They know that they're losing their audience, that there's a lot of unveiling, unmasking happening. And so they're trying to play up to whoever. And that's what we saw, the Breaking Points merger with Status Quo. And now we're seeing this, because it's like they have to latch on to the safety net of the establishment light press. Okay, so let's just hear what he said. Bam, did you see this? You're gonna love this.
Of course I saw this. Of course.
Of course.
It's laughable.
You're bad. You're a terrible person. Am I clear enough? Let's go fight. Let's go fight for Ukraine. Let's go fight for each other against these goddamn zealots.
Fam, how do we fight for Ukraine? How does that equate to fight for each other? Help me out. Make it make sense. Other than, give me another $25 check, Odemeyer or Katzenberg. I need it. I'm running out of money. Let's go do this. I'm with the establishment.
Let's go fight for the Azov battalion is what somebody should put a background where he's like, where there's like Azov like insignia in the background. Let's go fight for
should
Ukraine.
Mail him an Azov battalion uniform and say, here's your uniform to go fight, pal. Put it on with the swastika right on it.
Hey, let's send him, Bam. Let's send him
big.
a fight with Malcolm.
There's a weight requirement, and you can't fight unless you're. You got to be healthy. You can't. You got to walk through the marsh in the woods and stuff. You make no mistake about it. The majority of those Ukrainian fighters, a lot of those Azov battalion people, they're they're raw. They ain't no puppy dogs. Their ideology is whacked and fascist and nuts. But
they're raw.
They are like, no.
Your word choice is
you've
lovely.
Seen them. I mean, some of them. We saw the video with the one guy pretty much cutting the guy's throat, and it was like Slava Ukraine, whatnot. They are not no small pieces. I mean, these are fighters. These people are ready to get. They found the dirtiest of dirtiest people out. Go to
they're vicious. That's why we should send Cenks there to get some training, and maybe Malcolm Nance to give him some points. He needs to work on his little mannerisms, I think, a little bit. But Steve had this great
can I read it in his voice?
Yeah, please. You need to work
on
that.
By the way, Caitlin Johnson said, oh cool, Bill O'Reilly got a tan.
Yeah, exactly.
Cenks' new Malcolm Nance arc is, well, what do you expect from a guy who's a prolapsed asshole, has Clinton Global Initiative branded on it?
Whose prolapsed asshole has Clinton Global Initiative?
Yeah, you shouldn't have let me read it. I fucked it up. Steve's gonna get me shit as soon as we get home.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah, you read
fucked it up bad.
Fucked it up. I was too concentrating on a goddamn accent that it drew me off. Which I don't have it anymore. It's like now that he's in my everyday life and I hear his voice, I can't imitate him anymore. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Huh.
Like my Steve impression sucks.
It really does.
All right.
Audience, let him know. So Azalea Banks, she's the singer, right?
Is that what she is?
She is. She's a singer, and she's quite popular. And she put out this on her, I believe it was her Instagram, right? So just point to the level of understanding and cognitive ability and nuance from this rapper singer compared to Hank Huger. Let's read what she said. She says, everyone thinks they're so edgy and woke for sending support to Ukraine, a country with a leader who denied African exchange students the right to flee the country while it was under attack, then had the nerve to try and bribe and recruit impoverished soldiers via the Ukrainian embassy in African nations, has the nerve to make an appearance at an American awards show while his citizens die on the side of the road, and is banning Ukrainian men from leaving, distancing them from their wives, children, and family to fight in a war they have no interest in. Stupid Zelensky has the actual nerve to basically extort Western countries for weapons he can't afford to pay for, and calls Western leaders cowards for not wanting to provoke a global nuclear war. This is all about Zelensky's ego, and Ukrainians are going to pay the price for it while he eats a hot meal with dessert every night and doesn't fire a single weapon.
She's getting close.
Ukraine and Russia have been warring in the Donbass region for 8 years. This war is not some sudden evil act of Putin, like the media wants you to believe. I'm tired of hearing about this bullshit. Free all the men from Ukraine so they can go be with their wives and children. Send Zelensky a stew pot and a pack of water balloons and let him fight this war with his own two hands. You're not a democracy if you have to force a regular everyday citizens to risk their life. You're not fit to lead without a professionally organized army, Korea-style bullshit. Be smart, wave the fucking white flag so these Ukrainians can go home to a country that isn't completely obliterated. Fam, I know what she's missing. She's missing the fact that this is the U.S. proxy war with Russia via Ukraine. But for somebody that doesn't really deal in this world, just based on what they're looking at, I mean, leaps and bounds beyond what most of celebrities I've seen ever say, leaps and bounds beyond what fucking Cenk Uygur is saying, who gets paid supposedly to tell the news.
Now, I phrased that she's almost getting there, not what is she missing, because I don't want to do it in a negative way, because yes, the what that's going on, she's got it. She understands that, the men can't leave, that they're being stayed to force and fight. She saw what happened with the African people, from most of them from Nigeria, that weren't allowed to flee. They weren't allowed to go into Poland, which Poland is another ally. She's got almost everything right, the 8 years. She's getting there. Is what I mean, is that she'll eventually get there and understand that this isn't about Zelensky, that Zelensky is just a puppet and what the higher ups are. But yes, way above and beyond, Azalea Banks, I'm going to buy an album or download something and pay 99 cents for it just to show you love, because I love where you're at. Keep going. Don't stop. This is amazing. And I love this. But yes, that's why these shows are so important. I think a person like Azalea Banks will find these type of shows, these independent shows, and eventually get exactly everything that's happening. She was right on the nose, other than the fact that she didn't kind of understand what Zelensky is. But we'll get maybe an interview, fam, so you can explain who Kolomoisky is, and we will achieve total understanding from the mainstream and stuff. And we've said this before, by the way. More like hip hop artists or R&B artists and athletes have been so much further ahead than Hollywood. Where the frick is Hollywood? Hollywood is completely in the bag. You know what I'm saying? We at least have some shining moments over here with like people like, who's our boy? Kyrie Irving, and there was some Aaron Rodgers, and now Azalea Banks, Nicki Minaj. So it's awesome that a lot of people are coming out with this stuff right now too as well. And I tip my hat off. Let me put it on for you.
Yeah, and it's a risk, because 9 times out of 10 they'll have to delete it.
Oh yeah. Oh, this can really affect their contract.
Yeah. Every contract, every, everything. And so
she's got 215 million views on a song she did 10 years ago with Jay-Z. I mean, she's probably got enough money right now that she's like, fuck it, I want to do the independent shit anyways. I don't want to do the mainstream thing. I'll do it on independent.
Or she's just speaking her mind, which is something you're told you shouldn't do when you're a celebrity or an influencer, because you're going to piss someone off. Yeah, is what they tell.
She's smart enough to know there's repercussions coming though. You can tell the way she writes, talks about. She's smart enough to know, simply from what she wrote, and at least in my personal opinion, that she understands and knows what's coming. These people, a lot of these people, they're not stupid.
I think
very smart.
I think but also there's always like some backlash. When one of the models, I think it was Bella Hadid, posted something about Palestine, they went after her so much that she had to take down the post, and it's things like that. It's insane. That happens, and she's Palestinian at half, I think, and it's this thing. This is why people don't speak out, because then they get a bunch of I'm sure all the liberals were like, I can't believe, blah 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 blah. It's the same way they treated Nicki Minaj, that same exact way. So
they made about the elephantitis of the balls rather than what she was trying to say. They try to make a joke about it. Back. Exactly. By the way, guys, we have 65 people on the Rockfin. We only have 215 people on the YouTubes. If you're watching on YouTube, and if you haven't watched on YouTube, go ahead over and take a look at the channel. They put once again, COVID-19 warning, latest information from the CDC in the thing for simply having Kamala and COVID. And now
Doesn't it have a nice ring? Kamala COVID.
But here's the thing, fam. Nobody's on right now. This is our normal scheduled time. And we only have 200 people there. So they're purposely shielding and shadow banning this video right now. Right now, they're doing it. So what we need you all to do is hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, share it out there, go over to Rockfin, do the same, guys. I mean, this is just ridiculous right now what they're doing. And they're doing this on purpose. And I knew it as soon as I saw that blue label underneath. Once again, you know?
Yeah. No, it happens.
And we will not be talking about that on YouTube because I am not going to deal with their bullshit.
Okay. So, where are we at?
We're Super Rays, fam. We got to read them.
Oh, you have Super Rays. Okay.
I have a Super Ray. I had Trey Wright. Oh, this is Kristen Nyes. I already said, oh, yours always appreciated on the couch. Guys, thank you so much for the Super Ray contributions. Thank you to the Patreons. Thank you for the PayPal love. Do us a favor. Go over now. Like that, thumbs up. You can. We had a new subscriber today. Let me say this really quick, fam. A new subscriber, ladies and gentlemen. It was a yearly subscriber today. I just want to send some love out really quick.
Thank you.
When you get newly subscribers, it's just awesome. Here it is. I will get it up. Fam, I got a message from Nancy Pelosi. New subscriber, Paul Anderson, subscribe to your post on Rockfin. Thank you very much, Paul Anderson, and thank you for the subscriber retained of summer of 1970, Megan Morales, and another newly year subscriber. We talked about it the other day, Brandon Duhamel. If you got $9.99 a month, go over to the Rockfin and subscribe. You can do a yearly one for a set price, and you get everybody's premium content on every channel on Rockfin across the board for that one low payment.
And I hate doing those promotions, but Pasta does them really well. But yeah, it's just I hate commercials. I always hated commercials. You've always loved them. I hated them.
It was weird because I like the messaging. Like how do you get a message across in such a short amount of time? So I always found it unique, the whole formula of it. But that was before I really understood that those were the evil fuckers running the world.
That's the PR and the advertising. Yeah.
Who run the world?
So we were going to go digress into this rabbit hole here because this is there's really no proof tying all of this together except logic and careful thought, right? So there have been a number of food shortages that we've talked about. I mean, chicken was shorted. We have wheat being affected because of the situation in Russia and Ukraine, right? And it's getting worse, and there's high inflation, and people were having trouble with groceries anyway. But there's also been random food processing plants that have been getting burned, right? And I want to go over some of that. You guys have talked about it. A few people have talked about it, but it's kind of hard to just it's weird because there's just not a lot of information out there on this. It's just like you mention it, but the timing is extremely suspect. And the reason it's suspect is because this isn't the first time we've had incidences like the pandemic. We've had false flags. We have this conflict going on. We see behind the manipulations of the predator class, right? And they've lied about things. You could mention Big Pharma. You could mention Monsanto. You could mention a plethora of other things. So there was multiple large food processing and distribution plants in the U.S. have recently exploded or burned down. So Matt Agorist wrote this, and he posted this on April 21st. And he said, as food certainty lingers on the horizon thanks to U.S. sanctions and government decimation of the economy during the past 2 years, there's another factor contributing to the problem. Since the beginning of the year, there have been several very large food processing facilities that have
exploded or burned to the ground across the U.S.
Yep. Okay. There we go. And so Newsweek had this article, this like thread, right? Starting with this article put out by this person. And I thought it was an interesting thread. But they had this one article in particular where they talk about the 7 injured in the explosion as the fire engulfs the food plant and the smoke was visible for miles. So they talked about that one. And I want to go to the thread, Oz, but I'm not seeing it in the folder. Okay. So let me, it's tiny. Yeah.
Oh, somebody
should
put a
be
glass on. Right.
in the folder. I can't see it from there. Can you add it to the notes real quick so I can click on it? That's far. You add it right here. That would be great.
Like and share, everybody. Please do me that favor, guys. Do us that favor. We need your help more than ever.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was a thread. Okay. Oh, never mind. It's an article. Okay. I got it. Okay. So, is this what I was talking about? Oh, let me double check what I was trying to do here. Okay. Yes. All right. So, so he started off with that, right? And then he talked about you, as you guys can see the pictures from all of the multiple ones, and he also talked about another one in Oregon, which was a fire that brought down a meat processing plant in Conway, New Hampshire, and it burned for 16 hours, and it was a beef and pork facility, and it was completely destroyed. And then that same week, there was one in Salinas, California, which was the Taylor Farms processing facility, and it burned for over 17 hours. And it's a major agricultural company that processes and delivers many of the salad kits in grocery stores. And they're still investigating that one. And that one was on Keon News 546. And I think the next one that he talked about was a fire weeks before that in Walmart. And that was in Plainfield, Indiana, where over 1,000 employees shipped food and other supplies all over the region. It destroyed 1 million square feet of the operation. Can you scroll to the article? Oh, you can't scroll on the article? Oh, okay. Oh, that's what it looks like, though. Okay, yeah. And then, so he also talked about one in southern Texas. He talked about one that, that one in particular grew onions, melons, green cabbage, and kale, greens, cabbage, and kale. And then he talked about another one in Oregon. So there have been lots of them. Particularly, there was one in Maricopa where we were for the elections, Pasta. Mm-hmm. And it was such a big fire that it wiped out the Maricopa Food Pantry, which distributes food to unhoused people. And more than 50,000 pounds of food were destroyed in a blaze that lasted 24 hours. And you guys can see the this fire right there by the tweet by Benjamin Badcock. And at the end in this thread, they have like, and I have the picture better so you guys can see it later, but just so many headlines of so many things burning, right? And in slide 18, as they go a little bit deeper into it, of the Maricopa Food Pantry, they have, more pictures there on slide 18. And I don't know, Pasta, to me, this is a little bit too much like, there's too much of a coincidence, right? Because
I was about to say
about factories and processing plants and areas, farmland where you're talking about food, and you're talking about areas that are just like where food distribution happens, California, the Midwest. And most of the time when these fires like this happen, they're arson. That's like in general, that's like the overall consensus that when fires like this start, it's usually arson, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, as you go down, Oz, if you go down to 20, there's just so many of them. There's so many of them, like the one we just talked about in Texas, which is Rio's Fresh Onion Warehouse that was damaged. And this was on April 1st. And so there's a lot of that, right? That's one thing. But then a plane crashed into an Idaho potato and food processing plant.
Yeah, which is going over the line. You don't fuck with potatoes, fam. You don't.
Fam, you don't. I love potatoes. And and potatoes are I mean,
potato salad.
Potato everything, fam.
Potatoes,
I love potatoes.
Rotten.
They have like so many potatoes, different potatoes in Peru. So it's the potatoes, you know.
Loaded baked potato.
But fam, I want to hear your thoughts on what you think.
The thing is that, okay, here's the thing we have to say. If we're like, look, when you say it's just too coincidental that these are all happening at the same time, I think that, you know, raises the question, okay, if we're going to kind of look at this objectively or subjectively, whatever the way you want to look at it.
Well, it's objectively, right?
It's objectively. I mean, well, some people were looking at it subjectively, right? But that's their asshole, you know, whatever. So number one, we have to ask two questions. Well, then who is doing this? And number two, why are they doing it? That is the two questions. So the fact that you said it's coincidental, who would you say who's doing it, fam? And why are they doing it? You know what I'm saying? And I'm very interested to hear what the audience has to say is number one, if in fact this is not just by accident, who's burning all these food distribution facilities and why are they doing it? That's
right. That is $1 million question. And it would appear that if I am some sort of trying to get a narrative across, right? If I'm some sort of powerful psychopathic figure and I'm trying to get a narrative across, that I would want to have people really see that these food shortages are happening and it's a result of a country and another country. It's a result of Putin. It's a result of you know, this other country that's ruining our economy because, you know, they're trying to invade another poor, helpless country. And so, oh my God, we're having food shortages, we're having high gas prices. I mean, the reason I say is it's because they blame the high gas prices on Putin. They literally indoctrinated the TikTok kids about it, saying, Putin is doing this, but hey, at least you live in a country where we can oppose him. So they were doing that already. So it doesn't surprise me when the media already blames Russia for everything.
I'm surprised they haven't blamed Russia for this yet. Like the Democrat, like Kamala Harris is going to come out and saying Putin's burning down our food supply.
They can't say that because that's ridiculous. But they can say that food shortages are due to Putin and Russia. So they can say that. And so when this happens, they can just say, oh, it's unfortunately on top of fires and stuff. Yeah. You know, we already have food shortages. So look at what they're doing. That's one scenario, right? I think is logical to a degree, but it's hard to go off based on that if you're looking like at a direct connection as to who did it and the different areas. Obviously, it's more than one person. It's not, you know, that's the thing. Yeah. You have different areas all that in a relatively, you know, recent timeline. Even before the conflict started, though. Even before the conflict started. Okay.
So let's talk about this for 1 second too as well, because we've talked about the decisions that are being made when it comes to our foreign policy and our economic policies. It almost seems that we've said this before. This seems like the controlled demolition of the United States empire. A lot of us who understand at least the basic of economics understand that our dollar is pretty much a Ponzi scheme right now, that the market has been overbought and oversold over 3.5 times, and it's going to come crashing down like a house of cards. So if this is the controlled demolition of the United States empire, you're going to make sure that you not only are going to crash the economics of the United States, but you're going to make sure you can crash the food supplies. Like I said, at the end of the day, if they in fact want to do what Steve is mentioning all the time, which is move the capital, the economic capital of the world out of New York and Washington, D.C. and move it to Beijing and Moscow. And that is the truth, because I don't think at the end of the day, anybody who, who's holding the gun right now, who's kind of like pushed for all this craziness within our economic system, they're not going to pay back what they owe. They're just going to bolt and get the hell on out of here. Well, what next? You want to turn this place into a Hunger Game? Cut off their food supplies. Do that. You know what I'm saying? How do you turn the people on each other more than anything? You make them fight over resources. Food would be something that they would fight, and almost like, you know what I'm saying? That would really be something crazy. Now, I know that's a little bit out there, but when you start seeing situations like where our food supplies are being burnt down over here, over there, and everything else, you hear this talk about bird flu where they're culling all the birds, and a lot of people
we're
the fact about that, right? Which you're going to get to. You got to stop for a second and say, hey, wait, this looks like this is being done intentional. Why are they doing this? What better way to turn the people on each other is shorten the food supply and then forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Forget about it.
Yeah. I agree with everything except they're trying to turn Russia and Beijing into, I mean, maybe Beijing, but definitely I don't think they want Russia to be the capital of the world. I think what's happening is naturally things are, nations are fighting back naturally. And you know, China lifted people out of poverty. Their economy is doing much better, whatever. That's happening, right? We discussed the China thing too the other day. But I don't think that this is some sort of conspiracy to make Russia, and I don't say conspiracy in a derogatory way. I say it in like a reality. It's not a like Eva Bartlett says, right? It's not a reality theory to me that they would a predator class would try to make Russia the capital of the Great Reset. It doesn't make sense to me. Logistically, it doesn't make sense to me. Geopolitically, especially with what's happening. So I don't agree with that. I think that, you know, and this kind of will come up later with, I put your tweet up about what I said about Moscow. Mm-hmm. I don't view it. I feel like there's a difference between people who view things as like out of their control versus some of us who think like some of it is out of your control, but some of it is still in your control. And there are variations of that, you know, where we go to, oh, it's just a bunch of people and they're working together to kill us all. Yes, perhaps I agree 100% with that. But at the same time, I don't think that it's as simple as they're just all on board. There's definitely opposition to it. And I think there's opposition to it, not because it makes me feel better, but because logically, that's what I'm seeing before me. And that's what naturally happens in a logical sense. But I agree with that would be like if somebody wanted to have a controlled demolition of the United States, then yes, this would happen. I think that they are more likely to try to co-opt China and Beijing in that aspect. But the thing is, they're more likely to do that with China, I think, than they are with like Russia and the global South. And the reason
I already believe they've done it. I don't believe this is about nation states. I believe this is about oligarchs doing that, and especially with you know, with Tom Luongo coming in saying the other day, and this is something that has really been said by a lot of people when it comes to the economics, that Putin is trying to make his monetary system tied to the gold. Therefore, it's a commodity-based monetary system. You know what I'm saying? And that can change a lot of things for the world economics, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't just continue to print fiat currency left and right. So what all I'm saying is that those oligarchs who have invested so heavily in the United States market will then turn around and invest heavily in the United States and the Russian market. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they would necessarily want to move over there and set up shop. Just where their money making will be.
Well, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the United States does not make anything. It doesn't distribute anything. And that's going to come back and kick them in the ass because Russia has a lot of the things that the world uses. Everything from oil, gas, fertilizer. So
do other countries, right? So
absolutely. But that's the thing.
South,
they're aligning with, you know,
exactly. They're aligning with powerful, powerful East. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Like, but I see that as the shift, like the multipolar shift happening. Absolutely. I think that's happening regardless.
Yeah.
But whether certain countries, especially the big two, right, China and Russia, are going to fight back, you know, we've been discussing that a lot. And I think that we'll see. That remains to be seen. Because I think it is going to be about like certain oligarchs saying yes and certain people saying no, including perhaps some people in high levels of government. And I think that's what we're seeing here. So that happened. And I think there was another plane, Pasta. There was another plane. This plane, I think this is a different plane. This was on April 21st, and a plane crashed into the Georgia General Mills plant. So that happened as well. How many planes tend to crash into factories where food is made? Like, what is it? I should have looked up the statistic of that, because it just seems a little bit weird to me. And then Benjamin Braddock posted this. He said, a fire destroyed the headquarters of the largest independent food distributor in the US, and there's barely any coverage of it. I mean, I remember hearing about this from certain sources in independent media, but there was really no coverage. And at the same time, there's been the trial of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard going on, and all the people's attention has been on that, as well as Ukraine and Russia. And here is a press release. Fire destroys Azure Standard headquarters facility. No injuries, cause under investigation. Oregon, April 19th, 2020. The headquarters of Azure Standard, the USA's largest independent food distributor, were destroyed by fire overnight. There were no injuries. The cause of the fire is unknown and under investigation. The loss of the facility and the impact of the company-wide operations is being assessed and expected to be limited and temporary, and no other Azure Standard facilities were affected. The CEO issued a following statement. While the HQ facility is a total loss and a few product lines will be affected for the short term, other Azure Standard facilities are operating as close to normal as possible. Most importantly, we are grateful no one was injured. Blah, 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 blah. So the three products that were affected due to the destroyed automated liquid pour facility were fruit packing facilities and carob products. And he said, because of this, we will experience out of stock status for Azure market oils, honey, and vinegars, and any Azure market product, as well as our carob products for the short term. We are not yet at fruit harvest, so no immediate impact will be experienced from the loss of fruit packing. So they talked about that. And so it's crazy. This did not make the news, and I find that really strange. And then in the next tweet, Wall Street Silver said, this is an odd coincidence. 18 U.S. food processing facilities burned down in the last 6 months. Azure Standards HQ burned down yesterday. So you guys can see all the headlines again in that tweet. The next one on 26, you can see just a summary of all the headlines combined. So,
Fam. The thing about it is too, as well, is that it's weird because where's the food shortage going to hit first, right? It's not going to happen in your big cities. It's not going to happen in your big cities. It's going to happen on the outer rims, I think. And these small ones where they'll be like, oh no, we're sorry. Don't get me wrong. A lot of these smaller neighborhoods that that have a lot more local.
Well, because they ship everything, right, to the cities.
Exactly. That is true. So the supply chains will go down first. But the thing is that your mid to smaller size cities, those are the ones that are going to be hit first because they're going to give the privileged their food first. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very interesting and I believe that Steve is going on Franco's show to talk about this. I think you should invite yourself to that show and talk about that because this is something that's going to be very, very serious.
Sam, I don't invite myself to things.
I'll invite you. I'll get you. Bruno is my boy. I'll have a word with him. 18, fam, and nobody's talking about it. So when this hits us in the face, it's going to hit us harder in the face because we didn't talk about it. We didn't see it coming. And the mainstream is just going to, this looks like something that could end up with chaos erupting in the United States.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This really looks like that. And it seems like we're inching or getting there closer to it. So it's very interesting to see how this thing plays out.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been talking about food shortages for a while because that not only did a lot of people start noticing the food shortages, like when you went out physically, but the inflation. There was a text message one of my friends got today that was sent to me where a family had been spending $500 for groceries like I think a week or something, because it was a family. And then it went up to 1,000. Went up to 1,000 in a matter of like weeks. And that's not feasible for most people. Like that's a lot of money. That's like 100% increase on that. So it's insane. Oz, we have this video, right? We have the video from Jason Rance, who went on Tucker Carlson. Oh no, we're going to show Tucker Carlson. He said, why are so many food processing plants and warehouses catching fire all of a sudden? And as I was sitting in the studio getting ready for the report, a plane crashed at General Mills food facility in Georgia. I discussed the issue on Tucker Carlson tonight. So this is on April 21st.
So just moments before we went to air tonight, a plane apparently...
Guys, every once in a while you have a rough day. Oz is having a rough day. Rookie mistakes and just things falling off the table for him.
Tractor trailers were reportedly on fire. You're seeing pictures from the scene right now. This is the second time in a week that something like this has happened. On April 14th, the plane crashed into the Gem State Processing in East Idaho. What's going on here? Well, the story gets weirder. Food processing plants all over the country seem to be catching fire. A couple of days ago, a fire destroyed the headquarters of Azure Standard, one of the largest organic food distributors in the country. At the end of last month, a fire severely damaged a fresh onion packing facility in South Texas. In Oregon, a potato chip processing plant to support a boiler explosion that sent workers to the hospital. Here's a news report on that.
Eastern Oregon, where crews are battling a major fire at a potato chip processing plant. Air 12 flew over the scene at Shearer's Foods on Highway 207 in Hermiston. We're told the fire was caused by an explosion of a portable boiler there. 2 people were taken to the hospital.
So industrial accidents happen, of course, but this is a lot of industrial accidents at food processing facilities at the same time the president's warning us about food shortages. They're getting hit by planes and catching fire. What is going on here exactly? Jason Rance hosts a radio show in Seattle and joins us to put it into perspective. Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, obviously when something happens every so often, you obviously hope that there's no significant damage and certainly no one gets hurt, but you kind of write it off. It's not that big of a deal. Accidents happen. But when you've got well over a dozen food processing plants and warehouses getting destroyed or seriously damaged over just the last few weeks, at a time when the food supply is already vulnerable, it's obviously suspicious, and it could lead to serious food shortages. That's why some folks are now wondering, well, number one, what's going on? And you've got some people speculating that this might be an intentional way to disrupt the food supply. So
wait, may I ask you to pause there really quick? Can I just ask you, I just want to nail this down so our viewers understand. There have been confirmed over a dozen disabling accidents at food plants in the last month, over a dozen.
Absolutely, and we're talking about some really significant plants. The Taylor Farms facility in Salinas, California was completely destroyed by a fire last week. We've had 2 major potato processing plants in Belfast, Maine and Warden, Washington that were completely gutted, which is happening at a time where we already have a potato shortage globally. You were talking about the onion supply at that Rio Fresh, but it's not just produce plants. Last month there was a fire that took out a Nestle food plant out in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and that's impacting frozen food brands like Hot Pockets or Stouffer's, which maybe you might buy if you can't get fresh food from a warehouse that just exploded. And that Shearer's food facility you just mentioned in the open, I mean, that's the only West Coast facility that they operate. So there is some significant concern, of course, that this is going to impact the supply chain. Now, to be clear, the timing is very suspicious. It's obviously concerning. Police are saying that these fires are due to faulty issues with equipment, so they're not saying that this was intentional. Either way, it's obviously going to have some significant, implications in us getting our food.
Yeah, I mean, an hour ago, a plane crashes into a General Mills facility. We'd already planned this segment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The onus is on people who think that's a conspiracy theory to explain what is going on. What are the odds of that? I have no idea. Jason Rance, I appreciate your report tonight. We will follow up.
Sam, I'm going to get myself in hot water and say something really quick, and you can beat me up for it. Or
oh my God. You're going to say something positive about Tucker.
It's mathematically impossible.
Oh, okay.
You got it.
Mathematically. I'm going to go for that one too.
And fires to happen in food distribution places like this.
No, it's I don't know if I would say
so
mathematically because I haven't done the math, but I
Yeah.
think it's highly statistically unlikely. It's just if we're trying to be as objective as we can possibly be,
And you're
I can't
still
say
saying there's a chance.
that there's math. Somebody
You know
was
what
like,
I
"What
mean.
if they're working in overproduction? They're working." It's a possibility, but it's highly unlikely that possibility is true. I mean, you're talking about, Tucker said it himself. And by the way, I have to give him props for addressing this because nobody else is addressing this in the mainstream. So I will be the one to give Tucker props
Are you
for that.
praising Tucker?
I am praising
Because
Tucker.
I got to clip that up and send that to my mother. My mother
I'm
would love
giving
it.
him, the commie is giving Tucker praise.
Fiorella said something nice about Tucker. She's a good one. That's what happened. You don't mess with Tucker. My mother, you don't mess with Tucker.
Listen, Tucker has a lot of commies on his side as of recently, you know. A lot of, I'll just say leftists on his side as of recently.
And fam, there's something going on today. We are now here in the Convo Couch, which had a really nice morning this morning on the premium watchers, whatnot. Didn't have one troll in the room at all. And here we are again. We got 60 thumbs up. We don't have a single troll. Did we scare away our trolls? Because I will be sad if that is true.
Sam, I don't know. But I do want to point out this, Sam. While the media is saying that Russia is sinking, that the ruble is rubble, and all this bullshit that we know isn't true because the ruble keeps going up, this person put out this story. They said, my friend from Russia met me yesterday. He has a UK resident visa. What he said was interesting. In Moscow now, no inflation, cheap power, no food, no medical shortages. So what if Mickey D's, McDonald's, and IKEA is closed? He says no one cares. The whole world is suffering, but they are not. I don't know how true that is, but they weren't really. I mean, what the inflation or the ruble did get affected, but it was a short time where it was really bad. And Russia is going to have repercussions because if everything happens in Europe and everything happens here, it's going to affect the economy everywhere. That's how things work, right?
Yes.
But
they hold the cards, fam, right?
In terms of
right?
What?
They hold the cards. Just to explain that really quick, when you say it's going to affect everybody, that a lot of people depend on Russia's energy, gas, and resources.
Right. They do.
Sorry,
and they have the upper hand, I mean, right now. And they have also been prepping for this, just like I've talked about before. Nicaragua, preps for food sovereignty. So for having enough food for themselves without relying on outsiders bringing in the food, Russia has been prepping to do that as well. They've been prepping because of the way they've been treated by the West. So they're used to it. Whereas we're used to getting everything from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not prepared for this. We're not prepared for it at all. And that's a huge difference when it comes to not just the economics, but like the actual sustainability of a whole system. So I had to put this meme up, right? And it's got Bill Gates's face on it. Food processing plants that have had accidents or burned down, and you can see the little map there, right? It's in a lot of the Midwest, a lot of the South, some in the Northeast too, a lot in California, because there's a lot of farming and agriculture there. And then there's Bill Gates's smile. I had to put that one in there, fam. That's for my tinfoil hat people.
Well, somebody put it up the other day, fam. So you people are thinking along this line. Somebody was like, "Oh my God!" Somebody thinks that Elon Musk buying up all the things is really corrupt and kind of suspicious. And then somebody else put it's kind of like, say if somebody like Bill Gates would go around and buy up all the farmland, they should be suspicious. And somebody's like, "Uh-oh, you're putting it together."
Yeah. So these billionaires buying up whatever it is, whether it's the entire free, town, the town square of the internet and these giant big tech social media companies, or whether it's the food you eat, whether it's the land you reside in, that should make you question what the hell is happening. And maybe we shouldn't be standing any of these dumbass billionaires because they're literally gaining more power while we're losing everything. And food is becoming a scarcity. Now, this Benjamin guy had a great thread, and you guys should check out his thread. But he also talked about in his thread the 27 million chickens and turkeys and counting that are being called because of bird flu. And I'm telling you, my mother couldn't get chicken because they were out. They were out of chicken in a lot of places. And this is how this all intersects is very suspect to me.
You want to hear something funny? You know how many reported incidences of a human catching a bird flu in the United States is recorded?
1.
0.
Oh.
0.
It was generous.
None. 0.
So, CNET put out this article. Bird flu epidemic has claimed at least 36 bald eagles. Sorry, I don't know why that's funny. Outbreaks of H5N1 have forced farmers to kill at least 27 million chickens and turkeys. Raptors and birds of prey are also succumbing to the virus. I feel bad for the bald eagle, but isn't that a little bit symbolic? Isn't it the American eagle?
Fam, I am not even making that comparison. I am. You can.
Sorry.
Eagle does
I
not
don't care about pissing off
the bald eagles.
The left or the right, Pasta. So I am going to make that comparison.
Okay. Thomas Jefferson wanted the bird to be a turkey.
The bird attacked Trump, and then the other bird pooped on Biden. Okay.
Wait. It was Thomas Jefferson wanted the dove to be the bird. Ben Franklin wanted it to be the turkey. John Adams wanted it to be the eagle, and John Adams won.
Yeah, well, there's so many ways you could go with that. The U.S. pretends to be a dove when it's an eagle, but really now it's turning into a turkey, fam.
The eagle. You know how
nobody respects it.
I don't know if that's really true. That was just in the movie 1776 that did this whole scene where Thomas Jefferson, John Adams and Ben Franklin are trying to discuss what the national bird should be. So yeah, it could be just part of the musical. It could be real life. And by the way, I did too, fam, as well. I also in the Rockfin chat, and I'm going to do it over in the YouTube chat too as well. I have a video from organic consumers on Rockfin talking about bird flu and the myths and everything behind it, guys. Go ahead and check out this video if you get a chance. I tagged it in both our chats, and it will talk about H1N1 and H5N1, and the myths and everything behind it. So that's how I knew the answer about 0. So check this out, guys. This is something, once again, fam, when you start talking about the coincidences of this stuff, what way to motivate or to get people to understand or to accept the propaganda or accept what's happening to them with, oh, there's a bird flu. We got to kill all these chickens.
So they're calling it a virulent bird flu epidemic that killed 27 million chickens, that resulted in nearly 27 million chickens and turkeys being destroyed in 30 states and also killed dozens of bald eagles. First detected in the U.S. in January, H5N1 is a strain of highly pathogenic avian influenza, has been recorded across the Midwest, South, and East Coast. Weird, a lot of the areas where we had this whole situation with the food. At least 36 bald eagles have died as a result of contracting the virus since then, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. A dozen have been brought to the University of Minnesota's Raptor Center over the past few weeks. Is this Jurassic Park? The Wall Street Journal reported the birds, which were suffering seizures and unable to stand, had to be euthanized. Red-tailed hawks, snow geese, horned owls, crows, and black vultures have also succumbed. The H5N1 is believed to have killed hundreds of cormorants and herons at Baker's Lake Forest Preserve, which is a bird watching haven. So no human has tested positive in the U.S., but the economic toil could be major. The epidemic is also fueling a surge in egg and chicken prices. The first U.S. epidemic in 2015 cost the poultry industry more than $1.5 billion and caused egg prices to nearly double. So that's what's happening with that. And just put that in, just have it right here, because everything is happening at once. And I just thought this meme was funny. Mysterious wave of recent food factory fires. The news. Amber Heard's poop.
By the way, it's from the Gillette commercial. Remember, and that dude was teaching that dude how to act. Of course, I remember that. Fam, they got this thing called the Green New Deal. You hear about the Green New Deal? They want to put all these windmills up. They look terrible. It's like an eyesore. And they kill the bald eagles. We don't want to kill the bald eagles because they're American. No.
Fam, I'm going to have a bald eagle for lunch.
This is a bald eagle burger from Fam. Fam.
Kidding.
Fam.
It's not its fault that it represents a symbol of imperialism. Sorry, bald eagle.
So listen, ladies and gentlemen, Fam does not want to invite herself on that show. I think she should get on that show. They're going to have some more discussions about that. I think Fam would have a bomb-ass time with Franco and Steven. Hi, Steven.
It's rude to invite yourself to things, including people's weddings. And
Fam, if you don't exert yourself, okay, you say that now, but when we're hanging out in Mexico City, you got no problem with it though, right?
Fam, I didn't know that you invited
Would you have
yourself.
preferred I not invited us to go to freaking Nicaragua? Tell me now, yes or no. Say it right now. Are you happy you went to Nicaragua? Say
of course
it.
I'm happy I went to
Okay, then,
Nicaragua
okay.
and brought enlightenment to the white man. Of course.
Okay, then Stata Z.
Stata Z.
Stata Z.
Are you freaking Mussolini now?
Well, Mussolini did invent the word fascism. He coined it. Fam, shall I read some super rays, or do you have anything else to just follow up as far as like
do your super
why
ray.
This is happening or anything to end this?
No, I mean, we've covered it all. I mean, we've put out why it could potentially be happening. It's just, there's no clear cut like, ooh, this is it. There's just not. There's no.
Well, fam, two things. Number one, I'm going to read some super rays. Number two, I think we should take this section and move it back out of the YouTube section and go to slide 44 and talk about Russia cuts off gas to Poland and Bulgaria and blinking talks Ukraine neutrality.
Oh, because this is elections.
Yeah, we cannot mess around with this stuff whatsoever. In fact, so Oz, go to slide 44 and get ready, and I will read some super ray contributions. And fam, if I'd known we were doing like a TMZ show, the way we talked about Jimmy getting, cut off by Nina, and talking more about Chunk Uger, I would have talked about what I discussed this morning. And that's, I would love to moderate a debate between Jack Posobiec and Sean King, because that stuff's going on.
Oh my God.
Sean King cried, said that's why he's getting off. It's a white supremacist. He did his typical virtue signaling bullshit, right? And then he gets off. He gets clowned by Trump Jr. and he gets clowned by Jack Posobiec, and he jumps on just to start fighting with them and said, I never went out of there. I was getting death threats, and that's why I went off. But I would have had that in there as well.
I couldn't. I couldn't stomach to moderate that event because they both suck.
Oh, I would love
they're
to
both
moderate that debate.
grifters. So.
And Kim Iverson getting somebody going behind her back and on the Hill complaining about her as a conspiracy theorist. There's so much TMZ shit out there. I spoke with Kim about that. I can't repeat what she said, but it's funny, fam. You got to call her and hit her up.
It was funny because Gonzalo was like, oh, at least they didn't write like 4,000 pages or 4,000 words or however much he said. Like they did a whole article on him, the Daily Beast. And Kim was like, no, it was just a little blurb. She's like, I'm not there. Maybe next time. So
the Daily Beast exists to do one thing: smear. They should open up a bagel store called Schmear. Would you like a schmear with your bagel? And that's like a famous.
I wouldn't eat there. That's probably adrenochrome in that shit. Because it's the Daily Beast.
You're gonna get it
about it
off of YouTube. Stop
Beast,
it.
Mark of the Beast.
Guys, 244 people watching on YouTube. We need a hell of a lot more than that. Come on, guys, like it and share. 116 and climbing on the YouTubes. By the way, other more shit.
Rockfin, you mean?
Jordan Charlton talking shit too about the whole Jimmy Dean situation. I can't see it. I can't see it because I'm blocked by Jordan.
Oh yeah, I'm blocked too.
Why do we got to keep mentioning this dude? This dude is like a cartoon. He is
a cartoon. That's
wow.
Lori calls him Jordan Charlatan. So
Super Ray.
Let's get serious here. Oh, you already. Oh,
Let me do it real quick. AREM left a beautiful Super Ray fan. AREM never forgets you. She was there defending you today. It's great. We love you, AREM. I think the lurking CIA assholes or adholes are holding out on the likes and shares. Fiorella, remember Houdini was a shameless promoter. It's how he survived this profession and eventually thrived. I like Convo Couch shirts and stuff and as exchange for some support, like rock and roll t-shirts in the 70s. Stuff could get at a fair, stuff you can get at a fair. I take an oversized Convo Couch coffee mug. Convo Couch has beans, baby. AREM, hit me up, theconvocouch@gmail.com. We will arrange something. Yeah. Another fan of Fiorella over here, however, was not on Team Fee today, was on Team Steve. Shadowban refugee Paulie. So, fam, if you want to have words with Paulie, you should, have words with him. This just in. Russian
that doesn't surprise me.
I know, but he
I know. You're
just in, fam. Russian passports have been found in the plane wreckage in the food processing plants, and the jet fuel has been found to melt potato chips. Nothing to see here. Rachel Maddow, if in fact Russians paid pilots to kamikaze, if in fact, Game.film, they give it a super great contribution. Thank you for helping me graduate from shitlib to leftist. Love you, fam. We love you too, Game.film. Fam, let's get serious and get into the next section.
So kind of going along with this stuff, because this is what we're talking about still, the economics of the whole thing, right? The economics of the world right now. Russia has the upper hand, as we mentioned, and Russia has cut off their children. Poland and Bulgaria, they were part of Russia at some point of the greater.
You're calling them the children?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if I get in trouble for that, I mean, whatever. Like, I mean,
they're wicked stepchildren.
They betrayed Mother Russia, but she's like, nope, that's it. If you're not going to pay in rubles, you get cut off. And Blinken is also now saying, well, Ukraine could stay neutral. So things are shifting a little bit. So Russia, of course, halts gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria. Russia demands payment in rubles to shield it from the sanctions. The EU denounces these cutoffs as, quote, blackmail. Kiev reports some Russian gains in villages in East Ukraine. That's what they report. And they talk about the explosions and stuff. So Russia, of course, rejected them completely because they wanted their payment in rubles. And a lot of people are looking at that in Europe as a direct hit to the European economy, and they're angry because they know that it's going to affect them. And Gazprom, which is, Russia's gas export company, said it had completely suspended gas supplies to the Polish and Bulgarian gas companies due to absence of payments in rubles, as stipulated in a decree from President Vladimir Putin that aims to soften the impact of sanctions on the Russian economy. And Polish President Andrzej Duda said the move violated basic legal principles. And so, they think this is just Russia trying to get at them. They think this is bad. They think this is blackmail. But if you're looking at it from an economic perspective, if you're not paying me what I should be paid, and I'm being sanctioned as a country, so what do you want? You want gas for free? Like, I don't understand. Like, you have to pay for what you're getting. So they clearly said, if you have been supporting NATO, right, and you're part of the countries that are sanctioning us, that are calling us this, that are saying, we're this evil empire, blah blah blah, that Putin is Hitler, all pay us in rubles and we can still do business, because we're, they're literally working against Russia right now. NATO, they're part of this NATO allegiance. Why would they think they're immune from paying in rubles when that was stated? To me, it just seems complete, like I don't understand why you think you're just not gonna pay them with what they want when they're being sanctioned. It doesn't make any sense.
Bam. My aunt used to say, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. And that's what
they're messing with the bear.
They're messing with the bear. They're getting the claws. And once again, this is all about, once again, Tom Luongo talked about this. He's going to be on the morning show on Friday. This is all about backing the ruble with gold and a commodity-based monetary system. So therefore, you either pay with rubles or you don't get your gas and your oil. That's it. End of story.
So
strengthen the ruble, right? Isn't the ruble worth more than it is when it started now, fam?
Yeah. I mean, the ruble keeps doing better.
Ruble.
So, and the US dollar is only backed by a gun.
By a missile and a tank.
Yeah. So Kremlin spokesguy Dmitry Peskov said Russia was a reliable source energy supplier and denied it was engaging in blackmail. He didn't say how many countries had agreed to switch to paying for gas in rubles, but other European customers said gas supplies were flowing normally. So some people are. We noted India, we noted Pakistan had wanted to. We noted that even Saudi Arabia was talking to them. So I don't know which particular countries in Europe, perhaps Serbia, but yeah, I mean, a lot. I know Germany was worried. I know France was worried. And Moscow, I said, cut off gas off Poland and Bulgaria after they showed their hands and refused to pay in rubles. Europe is sinking and Ukraine isn't any more sovereign. It's further a puppet government of the Nazis and NATO. Doesn't look like this turned out the way that the West wanted. And by the West, I don't just mean the US, I mean like the European West, right? Like, I mean, NATO and the United States. What I meant by that, because we're going to go over your tweet, is that they don't look strong. Like but particularly the United States looks extremely weak right now. And that's becoming more and more clear with even the actions of people like Blinken, who's saying, oh, it's okay to neutralize Ukraine right now. So to me, this is not how they wanted it. Do I think they mind or that Europe is being weakened? Do I think they care that people are facing high food shortages and inflation? No, I don't think they care. But I also think that if they don't have as much control as they would like. So I don't think they wanted it to do it this way. I think they do want to sink economies, but as much as they can control in that sinking of the economies. And I just don't think they actually have as much control as some people think they do.
Yeah. And I think what the West wants is not entirely what the United States wants to as well, right? United States is gaming the West, the whole West behind. They're the head of the food table over there. I think England is the safest and whatnot, and won't get the short end of the stick. But Germany, France, all those other countries are going to get the short end of the stick by United States decision. And the United States almost kind of forces them to play along. You know what I'm saying? It really is kind of crazy. I mean, it sucks. And we've heard the United States talk. Like, remember Victoria Noodlin? FDEU. Right? The United States decision is high and above everyone's else, and everybody else has just got to get in line, and that's that.
Right. Yeah. So you have your tweet that you posted that you said the complete destabilization of Ukraine and Russia cutting energy ties to Europe is exactly what the U.S. wanted. Just my opinion, of course. Just my personal opinion, even though your opinion is already personal. So,
just my personal opinion, of course, because it could be a borrowed opinion from somebody else, so you're technically wrong. But it's like we said in the beginning, fam. Putin, he's holding all the cards. And if the United States wants to have a controlled demolition of their empire, this is exactly what they want. First, they cut off Europe. And then, all the oligarchs make their money. They have the destabilization and everything else takes its course. And that is what's going on.
Except that it's not working out, I think, for them in the sense that the oligarchs, the defense industry is making money. The defense industry is always going to make money in war, no matter what. They're making a lot right now. They're making a lot of money. But in terms of perception by everybody else, and in terms of where business is going, it's not going to the US. It's shifting. So So Putin said a couple of things here, and this is translated directly from the TASS agency, which gets direct communication from Putin when he makes speeches, but it's also in Russian, so it's translated. So Russian President Putin said, all the tasks of the Russian invasion of Ukraine will be fulfilled. The invasion will ensure the security of Donbass, Crimea, and all of Russia. The start of invasion averted the real danger that threatened Russia. Putin said, if someone intervenes in the situation in Ukraine from outside, the answer will be lightning fast.
Lightning
He
fast.
also said, in the event of a threat to the Russian Federation, Moscow in response will use means that its opponents do not yet have. Very interesting statements from the Kremlin. And
you know what they think it is, Pam? Like electromagnetic stuff, maybe, right? To knock out all the communications of the United States of the West. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know.
So Blinken then recently said that the U.S. will support Ukraine if it decides not to join NATO. So now they went from, we want Ukraine to join NATO to, no, if they don't want to join NATO, it's okay. So Anthony Blinken said that the U.S. will support Ukraine's possible decision not to join NATO and maintain neutrality. He said this during a speech to the U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. He was reproached in the Senate for the fact that Russia could attack Ukraine because of the latter's intentions to join NATO. And according to the senator, the neutral status of Ukraine would help now end the war with the Russian Federation. In response, Blinken replied that the decision to join or not join NATO should be made by the Ukrainians themselves. And Gonzalo Lira had this tweet where he said, with Anthony Blinken suggesting that Ukraine and Russia should resume negotiations, the U.S. is signaling that they know the war is lost. And I 100% agree with that. NATO will never get into this war, even if there's a Ukraine provocation in Transnistria, because NATO knows it will lose to Russia, and they will. And Russia is clearly, based on Putin's statements, willing to fight because they cannot lose. To Russia, based on everything I've been looking at, to Russia, they can't lose this, because if they lose this, they lose Russia, essentially. Because this would bring in the West too far east, and they won't allow that.
And we talked about this yesterday on yesterday's show. They're already in their language preparing to kind of pivot away from the loss that they have to face, right? Like it's at the end of the day, they didn't lose, right? At the end of the day, the foreign policy apparatus, the military industrial complex, quadruple what it was making over the last several years. I mean, it was just ridiculous how much money we're giving them every week. Lloyd Austin went to Ukraine with Anthony Blinken, your boy, and they had 300 million extra to give them from the 1.8, 2.1 billion that was given the week before. So in some ways, like I said, I used to say this all the time, these guys, they don't care who wins the war. They don't care who loses the war. All they care about is the fact that we have the war. And that's that. And even in the newspaper, hold on, fam. I know you know this,
Christ.
fam. I am a newspaper guy through and through. Like your boy Castro. I know you get upset about it, but you see it right here, fam. It says
he's a man, first of all. US
revows promise to get weapons to Kiev. But if you're from the West, it's to Kyiv. So they're not going to stop with the weapons. They're still going on with this whole thing. It's still going to be a money dump. It's still going to be a fleece of the Treasury Department. All our tax dollars that we can be using for things that we really need, other than this bullshit infrastructure bill that's just crap across the board, could be spent at home. But yet it's being spent to continue a war. Weapons that will get destroyed will never even get to use, but people will get their money. It is a complete robbery happening right before our very own eyes. And I still see too many Ukrainian flags in the bios of everybody else. So it's crazy. So, this is a fleecing. This is a fleecing of the U.S. Treasury, and it's your money. They're taking your money, fam, your money.
Yes, the oligarchs.
Okay, so what I think we should do is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, fam, we'll start the Kamala Harris section. I hope the titles of this section won't get us in trouble. But by the time we get down to slide 62, which is the video, then we'll go over to Rockfin only, because I'm only going to read what Kamala Harris said and CNN said only. Sound good?
Okay.
All right,
Sure.
Let's do that. I'm going to start. Thank you for the 284 people on the YouTubes. We have 128 on the Rockfin. I don't know why I'm Bernie crazy today. You know why? Because I hear these stupid things with these people putting out there. If Bernie Sanders ran as an independent, would you vote for him? He's not running as an independent. He's not running as an independent. We read all the super rays, so we're good there. So this is the title, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if this is cool. Despite being boosted, Vice President Kamala Harris contracts the vid. If you want to change that, fam, let me know. Vice President Kamala Harris, today I tested positive for COVID-19. I have no symptoms and I will continue to isolate and follow CDC guidelines. I'm grateful to be both vaccinated and boosted, fam. Vice President Kamala Harris tests positive for COVID, despite being, boosted, whatnot, and everything. Vice President Kamala Harris tested positive for COVID-19 on Tuesday after returning from a week-long trip to California. Today, I tested positive for COVID-19. I have no symptoms, and I will continue to isolate and follow CDC guidelines. I am grateful to be both vaccinated and boosted, Harris tweeted on Tuesday. Kirsten Allen, the vice president's secretary, said in an earlier statement that Harris tested positive for COVID-19 on a rapid and PCR test. Harris will isolate and continue to work from the vice president's residence, Allen said. She has not been a close contact to President or First Lady due to the respective recent travel schedules. She will follow CDC guidelines and the advice of her physicians. The Vice President will return to the White House when she tests negative again. Harris has been scheduled to receive her intelligence briefing on 10:15 Eastern Tuesday at the White House alongside Joe Biden, according to the daily guidance sent to the reporters Monday evening. She did not participate in any of the events at the White House on Tuesday, according to the White House official. And then finally, last but not least, fam, the last sentence I love right here. Harris is taking the antiviral coronavirus treatment Paxlovid. Kristen Allen, the vice president's spokesperson, tweeted on Tuesday saying, today, after consultation with her physicians, the vice president was prescribed and has taken Paxlovid. Fam, do you have anything to say before I play this video and before we go to Rockfin only too as well? Because I do want to point out that Kamala Harris said she is thankful for being boosted and fully vaxxed. And still, she got the COVID-19. But I mean, I guess that's no surprise right now to anybody out there whatsoever, because we know that with the vaccine, you can still, spread the virus. And that in the beginning might have been a different story, but that's just common knowledge nowadays and stuff. But so... anything to say about that, fam, before we get to Rockfin only?
It's hilarious that they still emphasize the vaccinated and boosted part as if it's not it's a losing argument at that point. You're admitting what you're admitting is the ineffectiveness, but whatever.
I still like the meme from Chris Rock. Thank God I was boosted, because otherwise that smack from Will Smith would have been a lot worse. Guys, we're going over to Rockfin only because we're going to go talk about this, whatnot. So Jilly Love put the stream. She already put it in the chat. I can see, because Jilly Love is amazing. We love you, Jilly Love. And so now is your chance, everybody. Reese Max says, Paxlovid, come on over to the Rockfin, leaving YouTube in a 5, in a 4, in a fam 3, in a 2, in a 1. Goodbye, YouTube.
Bye. And I'm sorry for pasta.